1,000, 5,000, 10,000, more? How much is sitting in your checking account right now? Does that number make you feel comfortable or does it make you feel a little anxious? Do you think you have enough or maybe too much? Most people feel secure when they see a big balance in their checking account. But here's the truth, that comfort might be costing you thousands of dollars a year. In this video, I'm talking about the 5 biggest reasons you should limit how much you keep in your checking account and what to do instead. There's a sweet spot for how much cash you should actually keep in your account. And if you stick around until the end, I'll tell you exactly how much is too much and what I recommend instead. So let's start with the first reason, and that is you'll spend more without realizing it. This one, it might sting a little bit because it doesn't seem like that bad of an idea on the surface to keep extra money in your account. You might even think, seriously, what's wrong with having a nice, healthy checking account balance? Isn't that responsible? Isn't that what we're taught? It's like that should be a legit goal to reach for, right? Here's the reality of what actually happens. When your account balance is sitting at 8 grand, $12,000, 15,000, and you know your bills only cost you 2 or 3,000, your brain starts looking at that extra money like it's a tasty treat. You know what I mean? It feels like extra. It feels like a safety net with a bunch of extra padding. And without meaning to, you loosen the reins. You might stop checking in as often. You start saying yes to little extras. And honestly, little extras, they probably mean different things for different people. For some, it could be spending an extra $100 on Amazon just because you wanted something that went on sale. And since it was originally $100, you went ahead and added a little extra to your cart because you were saving money, right? For others, it could mean dropping a couple grand on a weekend getaway because, well, the money's sitting there and you deserve to reward yourself. Am I right? Have you caught yourself spending a little extra than you intended just because there was an excess of money in your account? And maybe you fall somewhere in between these two scenarios. Maybe your account balance is higher, or your spending is higher, or less. Either way, it doesn't matter. The real problem is that your money started dwindling away and you didn't really pay much attention to what was happening to it. And there's a distinction that I want to make. That's keeping a buffer in your account that's used to protect you from the gap between payday and when the bills are due. That's entirely different from what I'm talking about here. A buffer is smart and it's intentional and it keeps you from overdrafting your bank account. But keeping several $1,000s above and beyond a reasonable buffer, that's when the problems start to surface. What I'm talking about is spending the excess that's not a buffer. And this isn't just a theory. There was a study done back in 2010 called Spending on the Fly. Researchers followed around real shoppers and found that people with a higher degree of what they called budget certainty, in other words, people who had plenty of money visible and accessible in their accounts, had a tendency to spend more freely. That high balance created a mental permission slip. It made them feel like they could spend more money than what they really should be spending. And if you've ever kept extra money in your checking account just as a little bit of a security blanket, but later ended up having a little bit short at the end of the month, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. I used to do this myself. I would keep a bit more than about 1,000 extra in my account above my bills and expenses. And I thought I was planning ahead, doing the smart thing. So I had extra money to pay the bills. But what was actually happening is that because I knew there was extra money in the account, I quit checking in as frequently. I'd buy something impulsively and tell myself it's fine because I could afford a little extra. But the extra that I was spending was actually part of a bigger plan and it wasn't meant to be used for buying whatever I wanted. And that's what happens when our money isn't given clear boundaries and purposes. It just gradually disappears. And here's the real problem with that. Every dollar that you accidentally spend is a dollar you could have invested or saved for something meaningful, or used to pay down debt, or added to a sinking fund that would have made next month feel a lot easier. Real financial freedom is about being intentional with your money and not about creating opportunities for unchecked spending. Keeping a larger balance in your checking account doesn't create security. It creates space for your money to vanish. And it becomes even more dangerous if you've got your emergency fund, your car fund, your vacation fund all sitting in the same account. Because now every impulse swipe is pulling from multiple places at once. So, reason number two is that idle cash doesn't build wealth. This is one that I wish more people understood, especially if you grew up believing that a full bank account meant financial success. Now, don't get me wrong, I love having money in my accounts. I love what it represents, I love what it can do, but only if it's doing something. When money just sits in your checking account month after month and doesn't grow, doesn't earn interest, doesn't support a strategy, that money is idle, and idle money does not build wealth. Now, here's the thing, while your money is sitting idle in your account, you want to know what's happening? The bank is investing it. The bank is lending it out and earning interest on it. The bank is putting it to work for them. You're handing the bank your money and letting them grow their wealth while you sit there earning no interest, unless you're lucky and maybe you're earning 0.01%. But hey, at least you have a sense of pride that you have so much in your bank account, right? That's not financial freedom. That's just your money sitting there looking pretty in your account, doing nothing. Now, if you move that money, even if it's just your emergency fund, into a high yield savings account, you could be earning up to 4% or more right now. That means your 10 grand in savings could earn 400 to 500 a year doing nothing but sitting there looking pretty and working for you at the same time. And listen, this isn't even investing it yet. That's just optimizing your money. So let's talk for a moment about how investing works to build your wealth even more. You've probably heard this 1,000 times, but it matters more now than ever. Investing is the only reliable way to grow wealth long term. And no, you don't need to be rich to start. You don't need to be a stock market expert. You don't need to know all the lingo. You just need to get started. And there's so many options, a 401k, a Roth IRA, index funds, ETF, fractional shares. Those are just a few places that you can get started pretty easily. Every dollar you have that's not earning money for you, it's falling behind. And listen, I'm not saying dump your emergency fund into the stock market. That's not what this is about. But you do need to have a plan for your money. A checking account is a place for movement, not for storage. And if your money is just sitting there, it's losing momentum. Money is meant to serve your future. Let the banks earn interest on someone else's cash. You got better plans for yours. Reason number three is this: you need to understand the purpose of every dollar. Now, this might be one of the most important changes you can make in your relationship with money, moving from accumulating cash to assigning it a job. Most people treat money like it's this one big pile. They just stack it wherever it fits, usually in a checking or a basic savings account, and they feel good when the pile gets bigger and bigger. But if you don't know what that money is for or where it's going, it's not serving you. It's just sitting there. You don't build real financial freedom by stacking piles and piles of money in your account. You build it by creating a structure and a strategy. And that starts by giving every dollar a job. Now, I want to be really clear here. I'm not saying you shouldn't have money in the bank. You absolutely should. But the only reason to keep money sitting in a bank account is if it has a defined role in your financial plan. Otherwise, it becomes clutter, and clutter, even your bank account, creates confusion and chaos. There's only three good reasons to keep money that's not invested, money that's just sitting in your bank account. The first one is your emergency fund. This is your financial safety net. It's not an investment, it's not a growth tool. It's just insurance for your peace of mind. The second reason to hold money in a bank account is for big purchases. Let's say you're saving up to buy a car or you're working toward a down payment on a house. That's money that you want to access within a specific time window. And because that timeline is short, you don't want to risk it in the market. But that money should have its own account that it's very least earning interest. And the third reason to keep money in account is if you're waiting to invest it. Let's say you've got money set aside for real estate or a market entry strategy, And you're intentionally waiting because of a specific strategy you plan to implement. That's smart. That's cash with a purpose. But even while it's waiting, it should still be earning. Here's what's important to remember: financial freedom isn't just about saving, it's about making every dollar work towards increasing your wealth. If your money isn't helping you build the life you want, it might be time to move it somewhere else. Reason number four is that a false security equals a stalled strategy. Now, let's talk about one of the most deceptive traps in personal finance, and that's the illusion of security. Keeping a high balance in your checking account feels like a smart strategy. It feels like you're doing something right. There's comfort in seeing 4 to 5 figures sitting there. And if you've ever struggled financially in the past, having that cushion might feel like you finally made it. But here's the problem: financial security without financial strategy is just stagnation in disguise. You might feel safe, but you're not growing, you're not building wealth, you're not moving forward, you're just sitting there. There's a difference between financial stability and a financial strategy. One keeps you comfortable, the other helps you build wealth. And that's exactly what's happening when you keep too much money in your checking account. You're creating comfort, but you're slowing down the momentum. Instead of making a plan for your money to pay down debt, to invest, to build systems that support your goals, you're using that checking balance as a crutch. It becomes a safety net that keeps you from leveling up. And I get it. Having that sense of security feels good. And you should have a sense of security with your money. You should have a buffer, but you also need a strategy that goes along with it. That sense of security and that buffer should come from an intentional plan, not from a lack of a strategy. So when you're looking at your checking account balance and it feels high, ask yourself if there's a strategy that I'm following, or is this money just creating a false sense of security? Because if that money isn't working for you, if it's not moving the needle on your net worth, your investments, your financial systems, then it's not actually helping you. It's holding you back. Comfort isn't the goal, growth is. And when you have the right strategy in place, you get to have both. You feel safe and to build wealth. But that starts by getting your money out of comfort mode and into motion. Reason number five: you're at a higher risk for fraud or loss. Let's talk about something that a lot of people don't think about when they're sitting on a checking account balance that's pretty high, and that's risk. Not market risk, not investment risk. I'm talking about good old fashioned fraud, theft, and loss. When you keep large amounts of money in your checking account, especially if you're swiping your debit card regularly or logging into your bank app on a public Wi Fi, you're increasing your exposure to risk without even realizing it. Think about it. Your debit card is directly connected to your checking account. If someone gets access to that card or your account gets compromised online, they can drain your account fast. It wasn't too long ago when we were constantly hearing about people losing money because of skimmers attached to gas pumps. I'm not sure if it's still a problem now, but I know people who lost thousands of dollars from those scams. And yes, your bank might reimburse you. That's a process. It takes time, and not every case is cut and dry. Meanwhile, your money is locked up, your bills are due, your groceries still need to be bought. And here's something else to consider: debit cards don't offer the same protection as credit cards. If you notice a fraudulent charge on a credit card, you can usually get it reversed quickly, and the money was never withdrawn from your bank account to begin with. But with a debit card, the money's already gone. It's your real money that's been taken, not the bank's. That's a very different experience when something goes wrong. Then there's also the issue of online fraud, phishing, data breaches, account hacks. If your login credentials get compromised and someone gains access to your checking account and there's 8 grand just sitting there, that's a very big, easy target. Here's the way I think about it: you wouldn't leave 10 grand in cash sitting in your unlocked car overnight. So why would you leave it sitting unprotected in a checking account that's connected to your debit card, your phone, your apps, and your everyday transactions? Financial freedom isn't just about how much you have, it's about how well you protect what you've built. So, what's the right amount to keep? Let's start with the other extreme. keeping too little in your checking account because that's a problem too. If you're running your account down to a couple $100 at the end of the month, you're putting yourself at risk. Risk of overdraft fees, risk of missed payments if your bills are set up on autopay, risk of having to scramble if something unexpected comes out, like a surprise charge, a date mix up, or just a regular expense that you forgot was coming. And maybe the biggest one of all, the mental stress of not knowing if your card will go through or if you'll be able to cover what's coming out next week. That kind of stress eats at your focus and your energy, and it's completely avoidable with a better setup. So, let me give you a simple guideline that I use and that I recommend. Keep about 1.5 to 2 times your monthly expenses in your checking account. That's enough to keep your bills paid, give you a buffer between paydays, and keep you from overdrafting your account. But it's also not so much that your money is just sitting there doing nothing. And the key here is this: everything else needs to go somewhere else. That includes your emergency fund, your short term savings, your money for investments, money for future bills. It all needs a place to go. When it comes to your money, you shouldn't be guessing about what to do. Your money should have a purpose, a mission it fulfills. Every dollar you have should be doing something intentional. Spend, save, grow, protect. That's it. Those are the four jobs your money should do. And when you start giving every dollar a job to do, that's when things begin to change. That's when you move from surviving to building wealth on purpose. And if you want a simple way to organize your money so every dollar actually does have a purpose, so it actually does its job, watch this video next.